going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered Talks. Today we're going to be talking about TV shows a little bit more. Usually on my channel I try to stick mostly to movies because as somebody who has a really short attention span, it is easier for me to watch a 2.5 hour long movie than to watch an entire 6-season series or anything like that. But I am watching the Avatar: The Last Airbender show, and I'm kind of breaking it up into bits and pieces so that I can watch it all and really process everything that's going on in every single episode. And there's a couple of big things that I'm noticing right off the bat while I'm watching the show. The pacing seems a little off, and there's a lot of stories being kind of crammed together into episodes that I feel like don't really match well with each other. And there's a lot of issues that I'm having because, in my opinion, the original show so far is better than the live action adaptation. That being said, I didn't want it to be a one-to-one adaptation. I'm glad that they're changing some bits of the story for the live action. It just, some things feel very rushed and the pacing is very off. And I think I can put my finger on exactly what the problem is. So I wanted to make a video talking about it. And it's not just Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's a bunch of different shows. So let's dive into this. Okay, so I'm just going to flat out say it. I think that filler episodes are really, really good for television, and we need to bring them back. So, first off, I want to just go ahead and start off with what I think the current problem is right now with modern television. First of all, I can't really speak on television because I don't watch things on regular cable TV, and I don't think most people watch things on regular cable TV, and it is kind of leading to a society where we are watching primarily streaming-based content. So, Netflix, they have their streaming shows. Amazon Prime has their streaming shows, HBO Max, Disney Plus, all of the big streaming services have their own streaming shows. And something that a lot of these streaming services are starting to do is make their series 8 episodes long, 12 episodes long, maybe it's 9 episodes long, stuff like that. And it's starting to be a really big problem because instead of being like television, where it's episodic stories that follow one linear big overall story, it's basically just a prolonged movie at this point. A lot of these shows don't take place over a long period of time. They take place over a couple of days, and it's breaking what makes television versus what makes movies movies. Because a big part of the big blockbuster and a big part of what makes movies as interesting and unique as they are is most movies will take place over the time span of 1 or 2 days, and it typically is a story that is very fast-paced. It's stuff that is easier to follow because, like I said, it takes place in the time span of a couple of days, whereas television, it used to be a lot bigger thing. It used to take place over long periods of time. It used to be, if the show was running for 4 months, the show took place over 4 months, and there would be holiday special episodes. There would be oh, this thing is going on in, modern society. This is something that's going to be celebrated on the TV show. And something that we are kind of losing as a society is these episodes like I just mentioned, the holiday specials and stuff like that. And I don't even think that necessarily that's the problem, but I think that the problem lies with us not having enough time to just spend with the characters doing kind of mundane tasks. So I'm talking about the Avatar: The Last Airbender show. Obviously, that was my original example. And something that I've noticed that made the animated version a little bit better than the live action as of the point that I'm currently at in the show, we don't see the 3 main characters talking that much. And originally I was like, this is really strange because sometimes the problem with movies and TV shows that came out recently is, oh, they were filming during COVID, so they could only have so many people on set at a specific time. So you would realize with the last season of Stranger Things, there'll be scenes where it's these people are split up in weird groupings and weird pairings, and it's that's really strange. But Avatar: The Last Airbender shouldn't have had that problem. So I'm really trying to figure out why the 3 main characters in the first 4 episodes of the show only really hang out during the first episode, and then they'll regroup at the end of the episode and then start off the next episode immediately disbanding and going their own separate ways. And it feels very, very odd to me because in the original show, we watched them basically grow as a family. We watched them come together and they'll go through traumatic experiences together. They'll have a bunch of time where they spend just with each other. They're not even doing anything specific. They're not chasing some goal. They're not just going out and doing some odd specific thing that leads to an action sequence. They're just hanging out. And I feel like that's something that this TV show is missing. And I know a lot of people are just well, people don't want to just watch people hang out. You do, though. It builds their relationships, it fleshes out the characters, and it does a lot to really add to the story, because every once in a while you'll have a character who feels like very flat and one-dimensional. Like, in my opinion, right now, Aang kind of feels flat and one-dimensional in the first 4 episodes of the live-action show, and something that helps with that is just having those little one-off conversations. So I was watching the live-action, and I was trying to figure out, why aren't they having these conversations? What's the problem with this? And when you watch the live-action compared to the animated, the majority of their conversations that they have are when they are riding Appa, when they are traveling from city to city. And in this show, they're kind of glossing over all of the traveling that they're doing. They're just immediately starting off the episode with, oh, okay, they traveled to, I can't remember the name of it. It's like, no, because every time I think of like an earthbending kingdom, I only think of Ba Sing Se, but it's not that. It's like Omashu or something like that. But they're traveling from like this place to that place to this place. And during the episodes, because the original animated show is about 20 episodes long, we'll have episodes that's just them traveling. It'll be things that they do along the journey. And right now, like I said, we're not getting that. We're getting, here's the story when they're at the place, and then the episode will end with them being like, okay, now we need to go to this place, and then we'll see what's going on when they are at that place. And it's making it so we're missing out a lot of conversations. We haven't had a lot of moments where the 3 main actors are on screen together. And it's weird because there is this huge disconnect. They don't feel like they interact well with each other. They don't seem to have any chemistry. And obviously a lot of people will say like, oh, when they do the auditions, that's when they need to check to see if these people have chemistry. But personally, I think with a TV show, it's actually beneficial that they just film more episodes together, because the more time that they spend together, the more times their characters will have to get closer, but also more time that the people themselves will have time to get closer. Because as of right now, Aang does not feel like he has any chemistry at all with Katara. He doesn't feel like he has any chemistry with Sokka. Like, they just seem like they're people who are there who happen to just be together, as opposed to them being a group who works together, who eventually will literally save the world together. And I'm hoping it's something that they fix with the next season. I'm hoping that when Toph comes in, they could actually introduce us to this whole team dynamic, because as of right now, there doesn't appear to be a team dynamic. And it really is bothering me, because we don't have episodes where we're just watching them hang out. We're not just watching them have conversations. We're not just watching them as they journey through the woods to whatever city they're going to. And I feel like some episodes that they could have that would really benefit this. In the original animated show, I'm pretty sure I talked about this in my review that I made of this. So if you've seen that review, I'm sorry, I'm being repetitive. But in the original show, there is an episode where they just go to a marketplace. It is on some docks or whatever. They go to the marketplace. They're going from different area to different area to different area, trying to figure out what they should spend their very little amount of money that they have left on. And, Aang makes some, like, stupid purchases or whatever. He buys a bunch of stuff he doesn't need. And it's just, like, a fun little trip where it kind of shows us, okay, these characters are kids, and they're not responsible with their money, because at the end of the day, they're children, and they just are like, ooh, shiny. I like that. And stuff like that. And the episode doesn't have a whole lot of significance, but we end up spending a lot of time with the 3 of them together, and it teaches us more about their character dynamics. Katara, the responsible one. Aang, very childish and wants to buy things that he doesn't necessarily need. And Sokka, being the older brother who's actually just like chaotic energy, and he's supporting Aang doing terrible things and spending his money on reckless stuff. And it does a really good job of setting up Katara as kind of like the leader of the group in a sense. And in this show, none of them feel like a leader of a group. None of them seem to really have a dynamic within their group. Like, they have their own character archetypes, and that's fine. But as a group, they don't have anything that sets them apart from one another. And that is something that feels a lot like it's missing from the show right now. So what I was pitching was basically they just have an episode. They go to a marketplace, which would be a relatively cheap thing to film, which that's a big part of the problem right now is movies and TV shows or whatever, they have limited budgets, and they feel like when they have CGI and stuff in it, that they have to showcase all the CGI in every single episode. There has to be, oh, people want to see the air bending, they want to see the earth bending, they want to see the fire bending, whatever. So we have to make sure that an episode can only exist if there is some form of action sequence in it. And I feel like that's not the case. I feel like we could watch episodes that are just the people interacting and having conversations, and it benefits both the studio and us, because it's not going to be super expensive to create a bunch of CGI and stuff like that if they're not in a place that requires CGI. And it's also going to make it so that us, the audience, get to understand these characters better. And it just bothers me that for some reason, every single streaming service is like, we got to make this 8 hours long. It's just going to be 8 hours, and it's going to be 8 episodes, and they're not going to be episodic. They're just going to be one giant overarching story. And it really bothers me because Disney Plus struggles with this way more than I think Netflix or the other ones do. But 9 times out of 10, their shows will be about 6 episodes long, and like if you take away the credits and stuff like that and you add together the runtime of all of the episodes, it'll be about 4 hours, give or take. And the problem with 4 hours is if you have only about like 20 to 30% of that is like really good high quality scenes and the rest is all fluff, it feels way worse than if you were to make that 4 hour long show into one movie. You'd be cropping out all of the fluff. You'd be adding only the parts that are really good, and you'd have the budget to potentially make just more beautiful CGI stuff and to do more of what they are trying to accomplish. But for some reason, they feel the need to make it a show, and they're not doing what makes shows special, which is taking your time with it, being episodic, introducing us to random things that aren't super duper important. Because that's one thing that I think is really fun about the original show is like every once in a while there will be an episode where Sokka just goes off and does something random or something like that, and that's something we're missing out on this. I love filler episodes in TV shows or whatever, where one of the side characters who doesn't really get a lot of time to shine will randomly have an entire episode where we're just like, oh, here's his backstory, here's why he's really important to the group, here is something that makes him very interesting and stand out, and then it'll help you see that character in a different light for the rest of the show. And we're really losing that with all of these shows being like, cut down, it needs to be 9 episodes, it needs to be 6 episodes, it needs to be 4 episodes, it needs to be... I don't know if there is any shows that are 4 episodes. I don't know why that's where my brain went. But you get the point. Having all of these really short series is kind of like killing episodic television, and it's kind of making me sad. But yeah, that being said, that was all I had to say for this video. I really appreciate you guys for coming by and checking it out, and I love and appreciate you guys for watching. But I'm gonna sign out, so if you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bow, bow, bow. Back at it again, but that's a relevant flow, so smooth. They calling me Mr. Elegant, like an elephant. I got a long nose, like a president. I've got a few hoes, swift with a stutter. I'm smooth like butter, don't see it coming when I slip undercover. Like a big dog, but I don't bite. I'm still a big broad, I'd win that fight. Come match you and I knock out your lights.